Welcome to the perplexing world of unsolved mysteries. In this video, we explore the depths of some of the most perplexing and intriguing cases that have stumped investigators for years, from mysterious disappearances and unexplained deaths to strange occurrences and eerie phenomena. We will attempt to shed light on these baffling enigmas. Despite the best efforts of detectives, these mysteries remain unsolved, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and haunting uncertainty. Join us as we delve into the unknown and attempt to unravel the secrets that have eluded even the most experienced investigators. So buckle up and get ready for a journey into the fascinating world of unsolved mysteries. Jim Morrison, unveiling the mysterious death of Jim Morrison, shocking new revelations and conspiracy theories exposed. Hello, and I hope you are enjoying your day. Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the untold stories of rock and roll legends. Today, we're embarking on a mind-bending journey into the mysterious death of one of the greatest icons in music history, Jim Morrison, the enigmatic frontman of The Doors. Jim Morrison, the lead singer of The Doors. He was quite a legendary figure in the world of psychedelic rock, but man, his life was full of struggles. He battled depression and had a serious addiction to dangerous substances. Sadly, it was a shock to music fans worldwide when he passed away in Paris on Saturday, July 3, 1971. According to the French police, Jim, who was only 27 at the time, died of natural causes. However, the story surrounding his death gets even more intriguing. There were two key witnesses involved, and their accounts of what happened were completely different. It's like a mystery where one of them had to be lying. The tricky part was that both witnesses had their own reasons for being seen as unreliable. The first witness was Pamela Corson, who was Jim's long-term partner. She claimed that Jim went to take a bath while she fell asleep, and the next morning she found his lifeless body slumped in the tub. Now, here's the thing about Pamela's story. She herself was struggling with her own demons, battling addiction to heroin and living an unstable life. Tragically, she died from a massive overdose 3 years later, so her account of a simple death by natural causes seemed hard to believe, especially given what followed. On the morning of July 3rd, a French doctor named Max Vassel examined Jim's body at the flat. He quickly concluded that there was no foul play involved and that a full autopsy wasn't necessary. He signed off the death as resulting from natural causes, specifically a heart attack. The media didn't even find out about Jim's death until 3 days later. Pamela's story always seemed lacking in detail and didn't point to anyone being at fault or facing any legal consequences. The second witness, Sam Burnett, was a friend of Jim's and later became a journalist, TV personality, and even a vice president of Disneyland Paris. But back then, he was the manager of a popular Parisian club called the Rock and Roll Circus. This place saw performances by iconic bands like Pink Floyd, the Beach Boys, and Cat Stevens. It was known for its vibrant but sometimes shady atmosphere, with stories of gangsters, nightlife, and conflicts involving law enforcement. Here's the kicker. Sam's version of events didn't surface until 36 years later when he published a book in 2007 called The End, Jim Morrison. In his book, he claimed that Jim died from a heroin overdose in his club. He described the whole incident vividly, including where it happened, who was present, and how those involved ensured that news of Morrison's death wouldn't spread until he was discovered in his own bathroom the next day. It was a wild and melodramatic story involving drugs, threats, and a cover-up. You can imagine how conflicting these two stories were. There was no way to reconcile them. Either Pamela or Sam was lying, or maybe even both. In the aftermath of Jim's death, rumors started swirling that he might have faked his own death. People speculated that he wanted to escape his fame and live a peaceful life somewhere unknown. Some even claimed he was running from dangerous people who wanted to harm him, or that he needed years of solitude to work on his masterpiece. But here's the thing about faking your own death. You need a fresh and warm substitute body that resembles you and has a similar medical history, and it has to be available almost instantly, unless you choose a method where a body isn't necessary, like disappearing at sea or in the mountains. So, it's highly unlikely that Jim's death was a hoax. Love him or not, Jim Morrison always had a way of grabbing attention, even in death. The investigation into Jim Morrison's death, or lack thereof, has always raised suspicion and curiosity. The sudden demise of one of the most recognizable faces in the world at the young age of 27 was met with a surprisingly brief official follow-up. The medical examiner found no reason to delve further into the circumstances surrounding the death of a wealthy 27-year-old who supposedly drowned in a warm bath and never emerged. Such a hasty conclusion could perhaps only happen in Paris. While it is possible for rock stars to die young from natural causes, even the fittest among them, such as footballers Mark Vivian Foe and Chick Tiote, have tragically passed away in their 20s or 30s. However, Jim Morrison's physical condition was far from ideal. During his time in Paris, he had gained weight and his personal fitness regimen did not bode well for a long and healthy life. Morrison was known for deliberately obscuring the truth about his substance abuse, often hypocritically speaking out against drugs while indulging in them himself. Few people truly believed that he was drug-free. It was all part of his image, a calculated attempt to appear deep and mysteriously enigmatic. The infamous incident in Miami in 1969, where Morrison was convicted of exposing himself on stage, also added to his bad boy persona. However, controversy has surrounded this event, with ongoing debates about whether it actually occurred. In December 2010, more than 40 years later, Florida authorities granted Morrison a posthumous pardon, driven by the outgoing state governor, a devoted fan of the Doors. Drummer John Densmore, when asked about the incident, claimed to have witnessed nothing, stating that Morrison was charged with the wrong offense. While he was admittedly drunk and disorderly, he did not expose himself. Ultimately, the most plausible explanation for Jim Morrison's death appeared to be a drug overdose, likely accidental, while his heroin-addicted girlfriend, Pamela Corson, slept in the adjacent room. Even this scenario involved an element of conspiracy, as Dr. Vassell, Corson and Morrison's friends sought to conceal the truth and promote the idea that his death resulted from a blameless heart attack. However, a more vivid and colourful account of Morrison's death emerged years later in Sam Burnett's book, corroborated by a well-known French photographer and 1960s pop icon Marianne Faithfull. Lingering rumours suggested that Morrison died of an overdose at the Rock and Roll Circus Club, and his body was transported back to the flat, some claiming it was rolled up in a carpet. According to Burnett, on July 3, 1971, Morrison entered the Rock and Roll Circus around 1 a.m. Burnett greeted him as usual. Noting that Morrison did not look well, he went straight to the bar, ordering a bottle of vodka. That night, their conversation was limited to small talk. Morrison had come to acquire heroin for Corson, a routine task for him, given the numerous dealers present in the club. Burnett alleges witnessing Morrison engaging in a drug deal with two young French dealers in their 20s. Around 2 a.m., Morrison disappeared into the toilets, and half an hour later, a cloakroom attendant informed Burnett that someone was locked in one of the cubicles and refused to come out. Burnett instructed a bouncer to break down the door. What he discovered in the women's toilets was unforgettable. Morrison was hunched over, with his head between his knees, foam and blood coming out of his lips. Burnett believed that Morrison had snorted heroin, as he was afraid of needles, and quickly realized that his friend had died. A doctor Burnett knew examined Morrison's body, confirming his demise due to a cardiac arrest. The two French drug dealers who had supplied Morrison with heroin argued that he had merely fainted and insisted on taking care of him. After a brief disagreement about what to do next, they carried Morrison's body out of the cubicle, wrapped him in a blanket, and transported him through the cloakroom and out the street door of a nearby club. That was the last time Burnett saw his friend Jim. It was rumored that they took him back to the flat, where his body was stripped and placed in a hot bath, possibly in an attempt to revive him or manipulate the time of death. Patrick Chauvel, an internationally respected war photographer, admitted to assisting in the removal of Jim Morrison's body, stating, "We carried him in a blanket and got him the hell out of there." Those who were present that night agreed to keep silent about the events. Burnett claims that Paul Bassini, the club owner's right-hand man, made it clear that nothing more should be said or investigated to avoid scandal. The man believed to have provided the heroin that caused Morrison's death was named Jean de Bretuel, who himself died of a heroin overdose shortly thereafter. That night, de Bretuel wanted to distance himself from any potential trouble related to Morrison's demise. He left the club, taking Marianne Faithfull, Mick Jagger's former partner and an English rock icon, with him to Casablanca. Faithfull's autobiography, Faithfull, strongly supported Burnett's version of the Jim Morrison conspiracy. She described de Bretuel as a repulsive individual with whom she became involved in a drug-fueled relationship. When de Bretuel received a call from Pamela Corson, Morrison's girlfriend, urgently requesting his presence, Faithfull wanted to accompany him to meet Jim Morrison. However, Jean de Bretuel refused, claiming he would only be gone for a couple of hours. Upon his return in the early hours of the morning, he was agitated and inexplicably assaulted Faithfull. He ordered her to pack her belongings, revealing that they were going to Morocco. According to Faithfull, de Bretuel was scared for his life because he had provided the heroin that killed Jim Morrison. At the time, he was a minor drug dealer facing significant trouble. While some details of this account remain unconfirmed, the French police initially considered reopening the case. However, such a reopening would be highly unusual under French law, as cases are generally not re-examined after more than 20 years. The burning secret of Sam Burnett's life remained hidden until 2007, when he chose to unveil it. Critics have questioned his motives, suggesting that a successful book about an iconic deceased rock star could serve as a lucrative source of income for a Frenchman in his early 60s. Burnett dismisses these allegations, stating that he is merely telling the truth and relieving himself of a heavy burden. He believes that now everything is out in the open and can be openly discussed. Dear viewers, I wanted to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude for taking the time to watch my videos on unsolved mysteries. Your support means the world to me and motivates me to continue creating content that you enjoy. I am thrilled to announce that I will be producing around 40 videos on this topic, delving into the mysteries of the world and exploring different theories and explanations. I am excited to share my findings and insights with you. If you enjoyed my content, please consider liking and sharing my videos with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest releases. By subscribing, you will also help me to reach more people who may be interested in the subject. Lastly, if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video, don't forget to press the notification bell.